Hello, everyone. Happy Mother's Day. And yes, it's time for Sunday school. Are you excited today? Did the men bring you the coffee and your breakfast on a platter for you? What you deserve? Let me turn Gerald down just a second. Mother's Day is very special. I know that we honored our mothers, and we've always traditionally had the youngest, the oldest, the one with the most children. And this year's quite different, isn't it? This year, in its own way, we had to celebrate it in a different manner. For this Sunday school lesson, I want you to grab your Bibles, and I want to talk about two entirely different ladies. In church last week, if those who watched the service or was part of the service, I spoke on the genealogy of Jesus Christ, and we found the ladies that were mentioned. The interesting thing was they were not the kind of ladies you would think that God, our minds, we'd always think everybody's pure and holy, that Jesus would, no, just the opposite. Prostitutes, harlots. Interesting. So today I want to talk to you about, in my life, my mom's a magnificent lady. Of course, you'd have to be married to my dad. But in addition to that, she was the backbone, the motor that drove the family's engine, if you want to say, or the family car. She was the motor that, quiet, but in her own way, you didn't mess with her. I mean, I was more scared of Mom than I was Dad. Dad was consistent. Mom, she was consistent until it was time to hurt you. And many of you would have stories concerning, I had of a man that we hadn't seen each other maybe almost 50 years. And we started talking and relating last week. And Brother Wendell is in Texas now. And we were reflecting on the days of, at one time my dad bought a brand new van, and the first people to really drive it anywhere was a guy named David Capehart and myself. And David is 2 or 3 weeks younger than I am. And we're 16 years old. We take this fully loaded brand new van and head off to Detroit in it. Now, can you imagine letting two 16-year-olds take off to Detroit in a brand new vehicle? In addition to that, we stopped by and picked up an older guy, Wendell. And I think Wendell might have been 18 or 19. And we wouldn't even think about anything like that today. But that's the upbringing. And part of our upbringing that we have today is that we're a little more cautious. We have more time to allow the upbringing. Everything's technical. But in Hebrews 11, it's commonly referred to as the faith chapter. Now, the faith chapter is we believe Paul's the one who's writing Hebrews. And in his writings, he is describing those that had incredible faith with God. And in reality, a mother must have, a true mother must have incredible faith. And they only mention two ladies in the honor roll of the heroes of faith. One being Sarah, and if you want to join with me, we'll discuss Sarah just for a second, and then we're going to discuss the other interesting aspect of the word. And there we go. Hebrews 11, and by faith, we'll do verse 8. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out into a place which he would receive as an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing where he was going. By faith, he dealt in the land of promise as in a foreign country, dwelling in tents with Isaac and Jacob, their heirs with him of the same promise. That'll preach there. We'll leave it alone. For he waited for the city which has foundations, whose builder and maker is God. Verse 11, by faith Sarah herself also received strength to conceive a seed. And she bore child when she was past the age, because she judged him faithful who had promised it. Therefore, from one man, and him as good as dead, was born as many as the stars in the sky and the multitude, innumerable as the sand which is by the seashore. she heard God say, in fact, the interesting part is when God said that she would receive, she laughed. She laughed. And God, you understand, she was well into her 80s. And she said, I'm kind of old to have a child. Now, I imagine she snickered to think that she was, first of all, he's not a spry chicken anymore either. And it had reached a point where she had realized that perhaps it was her. Now grab a hold of this, because he had taken other children, other women, and conceived and had children. So it had to be her. So we reached a point in understanding that when God said, you will have a child, her faith increased, so much so that they decided to sleep together. I'm talking about intimately. Can you imagine that today? 100-year-old, 80-year-old, 90-year-old, a long time. Well, we could do the math on it, but you understand, God said it's going to happen. She said, yeah, it's going to happen. Finally, her faith encouraged. They waited for that promise for a long time. Long time. Those of you that are under the sound of my voice, that you have felt in your heart a certain thing's going to happen. Your loved one's going to be saved, family member, healing, and don't lose faith. Don't lose hope. Okay? Faith is that substance of things that we don't yet see, but we still believe. That's hard to grasp sometimes. Oh, it's easy to say. It's hard to grasp sometimes. Last night in the middle of the night, I had an attack, I'll call it an attack, with arthritis or bursitis in my left hand. And it hurt. It was like you putting 1,000 needles in it. And I remember grabbing my hand as it was going through this spot and asking God to heal me. I said, even Lord, if it's temporary, dumb. Why not just say permanently? Because my faith was wavering. And, it immediately quit throbbing. I didn't have any more problems all night long until I got up this morning and it hit me one more time after hours of sleep. And I'm thinking, my faith was only for a little bit. How foolish. Don't give up on your prayers concerning those things that you still have faith for, hope for. Can you how you do that? You keep praying. You keep saying, Lord, I know that I want this has got my son, my daughter, my loved ones, my husbands, my wife. I need them to be saved, please. And you keep praying. That prayer is an indication to God you're not giving up. Jesus even talked about a parable concerning the lady, the judge. Remember? That was Jesus telling you, don't give up. The judge said, I don't fear God or man, but that woman's going to pester me so much, I'm going to take care of it. Okay, so ask God and you continue to pray and humble yourself before the Lord and see what He does. Now let's jump on down just a little bit. We're still in the same chapter, right? Still in the same chapter. And we go to verse 30. Now to me, this is an incredible lady. She is a prostitute. She's also not only in the chapter concerning faith, she's in the genealogy of Jesus Christ. Got to be a special lady, I think. By faith, verse 30, the walls of Jericho fell down after they were encircled for 7 days. Immediately. Now that's an incredible miracle, right? Scientists have looked at these walls even today. And then it goes immediately right in. By faith, the harlot Rahab did not perish with those who did not believe when she had received the spies with peace. Now, you have to understand, what was so special about Rahab? She told the spies that we've known about you guys. We knew what God did. And here's what I want. I'm going to help save your lives, but I want you to remember us. I want you to spare our lives. Now, if you study this part, they had to stay outside the camp for a number of days before they were allowed to, how do you say that? Become Jews, adopted Jews. She ended up marrying, history tells us, she ends up marrying one of the two spies. And from there we have the genealogy of Jesus Christ. By faith, the walls will fall flat. And they're going to do it. What are you saying, Steve? On Mother's Day, if you were to write down, God, this is the thing I would like as a gift. Some may say a diamond ring, some may say a new car, some say at home. These are just things of the world. Don't misunderstand me. I understand that the beauty and the nice and the comfort of a new home or a car. I understand. I'm not Brian. But if you could get one thing from God, okay, and you write it down, my children to be saved. Some would say my children to be healthy. Grab a hold of what we're in. We're in an environment that we need God to. This is just a part of the world. If you want children to be healthy, where's the part of being saved? Salvation is, in my opinion, far more important than health. I know that's hard to believe and understand. Just let my children be healthy. How about let my children serve God? That's healthy. That in itself is healthy. Now that's from my perspective. That's from my perspective. I foresee that this world is the fictitious world. The real world we can't see. Not with these eyes. One day, though, the real eyes will come into us in existence, and we will see the promises of God being fulfilled. We are actually already in the stages of seeing biblical scriptures being fulfilled for the last days. Let me add that last line. So on Mother's Day 2020, boy, who would have believed it, right? Be grateful for what God's done for you. Be encouraged. Don't go around. Be happy. You got your children. You got your family. And the men should take care of you today. The irony, in closing, is generally what do? We go out to eat, don't we? We go out to eat on Mother's Day. Restaurants love it. But today, we don't get to go out and eat. So that means the man's got to... Nah, surely men wouldn't cook. Not on Mother's Day. Maybe the children will cook. Huh? Who knows? Hey, that's it for today. Who do you believe? Well, believe on the Lord Jesus Christ. Believe what He says will come to pass. Hold fast. Recognize who you serve. Be strong today. Which one of these are you going to be? Be a mother. Show off to your children. Love them. Be firm when you need to. Be gentle when you need to. That's it for today. Until next time, may God bless you and your family. And if you don't have a place to go to church, we're having a parking lot service today. Barry and the whole team will be singing and blessing the Lord. I'll be speaking. I'm told I'm speaking outside, weather permitting. But everybody come. You can't get out of your car supposedly, but you can tune in to 88.5 on your FM radio, or hopefully watch us live on Facebook. Next week we expect that to be full time. But join us. If not, we'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. Remember, have that faith in God. Bye-bye.